I'm here basically to show you a case study of a job or a design we have, which we were able to get, well, not able to get, but a client who was forward-thinking and open-minded, gave us a brief, and we were able to translate it like that. And one of the things that I'm hoping that our urban farmer can see and that we can also realize is that there's a lot that we could do that could help her business. And there's a lot of her business that could actually help our society. So we have a very, very important role to play. I wanted to ask her if she had ever hired an architect or a designer to help her with any of her buildings. And then when we talk about storage facilities, not enough to just provide storage facilities, like when Actor Roberta was talking about the location of her Mezube, this thing. It's on the highway, that's the end of the story. To say, what materials did you use? Does that help to preserve the produce when you bring them out from there? Is there a clear route from when it comes in to when, and back and forth, and all those kinds of things that we need to know? And the thing is that people always have to think about the financial aspects. One of the things we promised ourselves when we started AD Connect was that we would always try to tie it into how you can make your business sustainable, financially viable. We saw too many architectural firms and design firms falling out, leaving consultants, everybody's going into construction. I'm not mentioning any names here. But the idea is that, we have a lot of work to do. And if we all become contractors, there's really nobody left to do the work in terms of consultancy. So we always try to make sure that, look, it's good to have all this goodwill, but at the end of the day, take something away that will actually improve your business, the value that you're giving to your clients as a designer. And so what I was trying to say was that in terms of you looking at food as a source of business as a designer, Nigeria is investing billions of, I don't know if it's even naira or dollars, I'm not sure which one it is. There's a very big difference in agriculture. If you position yourself as the architect or the designer who knows something about food security, who knows something about designing for food, sustainability is such a very broad concept. If you position yourself in that line, you'll have work till you are tired. Imagine that you're just an architect or designer that all you do is focus on food or landscaping or edible landscaping. Imagine the amount of work that you have to push away. So these are areas, and as architects and designers, we have to remember that we need to gain more information, specialize more and more as we go along, so we can provide real value to those who we work for. Okay, so I'm going to take you through a case study of Key Homes low-cost housing. It's located, I guess, should I read this? Because they made me do this, so I really don't know what's happening here. Okay, so urban farming is the practice. Okay, do we need to explain what urban farming is? Okay, let me just, okay. So health and nutrition, food accessibility, education, skill building, economic benefits, environmental benefits. Keep going. Next slide. This is what happens when the speaker is drafted to speak and the person that read the slide is completely different. Can we please move to Key Home so that I can actually speak on architecture and urban farming? Thank you. Okay. This is a fresh sheet. Okay. So the entire design, layout, and concept of this low-cost housing is inspired by the concept of sustainability. That was what we thought of going in, and that's what we're taking out. Where, like I said, you have to be lucky enough to find the right client who support you all the way, from hiring you to following you with that sustainability concept. Because sustainability is a wonderful word to use when you have no money attached to it. And then when the money comes, you're like, do you know what? Where's the block? Like, what's wrong with the block, really? People have been using it for hundreds of years. And if you think about it, the cost is the same. Do you know what? Next time. So you literally need, there's actually a concept where you have a sustainability champion. That's all they do. That's their job. They come in at the beginning, from the concept stage, and they take it all the way to the end. And they're there constantly saying, no, they're your conscience. They're sustainability conscience. And they're like, no, you can't do that. Remember you said you were going to create the first greenhouse in the first green building in Abuja, no, continue. So literally, you need people like that on your team. Okay, so the entire design, everything was based on sustainability. Use of locally available materials, so we're talking about adobe brick, thatch, and things like that. And when we talk about using local technology and materials, it's not just in terms of the building materials, but even the layout. You have to consider the way people live. So one of the things that we're considering is that you design low-cost housing, and then you build these little blocks for people to live in. It doesn't work. These are people that are used to living in a courtyard kind of arrangement, in a compound. It provides security, it provides community, and it gives us a better sense of ownership of the space that you have been given. So when you create a low-cost house and then you create an environment that is unsuitable to the client, because who is your low-cost client? It's not enough to say, okay, this person is just going to come and live here. You have to recognize the fact that I'm low-cost, so I probably have about 8 family members from the village who come to visit regularly. I want to be able to farm because where I come from, that's what we do. And I want to be able to access whatever nearby facilities within a walking distance. So these are the things that we considered when we started designing it. The objectives, we have the plot is a 6.43 hectares expanse of land in New Karu. The design styles and materials, we have structures comprising of one major housing type, and then we have facilities. So another concept of sustainability is having everything within walking distance. So you have a large 200 housing estate, and then you have no shops. You have no, let's say a community center. So anybody that is living there literally has to enter a cab and go somewhere to do something. That's burning fuel. That's raising the carbon footprint. So these are things that we considered, and we made sure that the site was able to encompass all these things without losing money for the clients. So yes, I want to do all these wonderful things, but at the end of the day, I must be able to maximize my square meters. And you see the layout that we did. From the layout alone, we're able to increase the number of units that you would have as compared to if you just did a normal grid barracks layout. Where's the... the side layout. So, let me talk about it. Okay. Before he brings that up, you can even see downstairs in our exhibition. The site layout, we tried to make sure we took care of the contours of the site. It was triangular, and we had a large stream running through the site. So the first thing we did was make sure that those contours, our buildings actually follow the contours of the land. We are also able to, obviously using shape, form magnetization, we're able to align most buildings in a way that the distance to the community center and the distance to the multi-use buildings. So that's another thing that we realized. When you look at small towns and cities around Nigeria, especially the old ones, you find that on the lower level or even along the major roads, you have all these commercial entities, people with shops, small from artisans all the way to people just selling small goods. And then on the upper floor or just behind, you have their house. And it works. Separating, that whole idea of separating zoning, which our town planners love so much, where you put commercial in one section and then you push residential across town. People literally have to commute, traffic, all that. It doesn't work for us, and you can see that those cities, in fact, there's studies that show that those cities are safer, the ones that have the combination, urban and also commercial and residential. They are safer, there's more community communication, and there's more ownership, security towards those communities. So that's one of these we considered. So we have 3 residential types. We have the regular compound. Now, like I said, the compound is a composition of 4 units. You have a unit that is just a building around a courtyard. That courtyard has enough space for planting for that individual. It also has, cross ventilation, and then within the rooms, we raise the roof. I don't know if you can see it from here, but we raise the roof so that within the room you actually have steps. You can have an extra bed within the same space. So for that, our relative that came for 1 week and decided to hang out for 3 months basically. There's an extra bed, within the set. So it's a 2-bedroom, but obviously can be converted into almost a 4-bedroom. We even gave people the option of actually building up. So the advantage of it is that, first of all, we're using compressed earth bricks, which means that we're taking the sand from the land, adding a bit of cement, molding it, and that's what we're going to use to build it. And it's modular, which means that if I buy this I buy this house from the Key Homes developer, and I decide that, okay, now I've been able to make some small money, I'm ready to expand, I can just go up. There's literally an area we put off that can be used as a staircase, and then you can now start building your 3rd or 4th bedroom, as when you don't hammer, basically. You can keep moving up. So the idea is, okay. So that was the first thing we did from the first component. Then that component is not on its own. We connected it to 4 houses. So there are 4 buildings connected together in a compound kind of arrangement. Everyone has their own entrance, but at the same time they're all connected. We created a compound. Even if you look at when you find people moving into, let's say, I don't know how to, there's a word that's used to describe people who come to the urban city but don't necessarily belong there, according to our own opinions anyway. So they end up in settlements and shanties and things like that. You find them in compounds. You hardly find an individual house on its own. And they're very comfortable and they're very happy. My neighbor is one that will take care of my children when I go to work. I'll come back and, okay, so how far? They help themselves out. So, like I said, we have our compound with the courtyard, your individual entrance, then you have 4 flats together, 4 houses together. Those 4 houses, each of them have that, like I said, central courtyard, but they also are all attached to a green area. So we have a modular thing that moves continuously. Every single 4 compounds has a green area attached to it, which means that your children can play safely, which means that if those set of people decide to go further with the farming, they can do that. That is aside from the area that we kept separately within the piece of land for farming. So it can be a community-owned farm for that estate. And then even beyond that, it's not about, even though our landscape architect advised us on it, we still were able to provide a park which is just for play. So we have a series, like I said, of green spaces incorporated into design from the very beginning. Like I said, we had a willing client who saw the vision, and it was very easy to achieve. I really wish I had the visuals here to explain this to you, but it's coming up. So as I was explaining, the second unit, the multi-use unit, where on the ground floor we have shops, on the first floor we have a residential building. It's also, again, like I said, very... Okay, so please can you take it down a little bit? Okay, no, take it up. Let me see the floor plan first. Okay. So from the floor plan, that's what I was describing about the courtyard arrangement, where you have one block. Is there a way of doing the mouse to show? Where you have one block, just one section. Can you outline the square that shows the one unit? Just use the mouse to outline it. Okay, so that's one unit. This is the multi-use unit, multifunctional unit. So on the ground floor, you have the shops, which would serve the community. And then on the first floor, you have, 1-bedroom, apartments that can be allocated according to the owners of the shops on the ground floor. Okay, can we go to the residential unit? Take it back. Okay, so you have the individual, you have one section here. You have the entrance, use the mouse. Entrance, yes. You come into the space, you have the courtyard there, a living, dining room, a bedroom, store, kitchen, just the basics. And then this is the compound of 4 that are put together. So if you go to the site plan, then you can see how this compound of 4 is located on the site next to a green area. And then from there to the next. Okay, can you zoom into the site plan? Okay, from the site plan so you can see. So there's a block, right, of 8 units, 4 on this side, 4 on the other side, a parking area, and then a green area. So at no point do you have those heat islands. And then you can see the community center in the center, over there. Then you have the multi-use. So even in planning a little city, like everything is a micro reflection of a large scale thing. You start with the commercial in the center, and then you move to the multi-use, and then you break down to the residential, and that's the same thing we did. And our site, being triangular, actually helped us to do those circles that kept on going along the segments. And that is how we achieved it. So one thing that we took away from this was this. First of all, work in an integrated team. We were a team of architects, landscape designers, interior designers, engineers, and obviously the real estate developer. And we sat down and we went through this vision together. And from there, we were able to build this. But the point is that we started from the beginning together. And that is all the difference. A lot of times we work in isolation, we'll start a job, and then later on call, they're like, okay, I've done, come and do your own part. In order to create this kind of vision, you really have to work together. I can't tell you how many times we had disagreements with the landscape architect concerning certain areas, but we worked through it. So this is a case study for us of how we're able to put design and food security actively into the same project, as in to look at those issues as equally important in designing this place. And then again, like we said, always considering that that thing must be financially viable and sustainable for whoever is investing in it, from the developer to the owner of the building. Thank you.